I want us to have a very serious conversation on mental health in the country. Of course, today being a new month. And in studio, I'm joined by Regina Ndwati. She is a psychologist. She'll be telling us about some of the effects of mental health in the country. So thank you so much for making time.
Thank you.
I want us to start off with, I know you wanted to talk about the introduction of mental health, but let's start with what is the status of mental health among young people in the country?
Right now, the status of mental health among young people is really wanting, because most of them are not stable mentally because of what is going on around them. Given that a lot has changed in terms of life, you know, the expectations have just gone too high on them, or maybe on their parents. And because of that, due to a lot of demands of life on them, you know, most of those are really suffering mentally. They've been into anxiety, they're getting depression. And when I try to ask them, it's just about the high cost of living that is just way above their abilities.
I want us to talk about now, like, just dissect mental health, because it's a very wide topic. There's different mental illnesses. You've also talked about anxiety, depression. So if you could tell us one by defining each.
Now, first of all, mental health, you know, when the mental health problems set in, what happens is somebody becomes anxious. So anxiety is about, you know, not being able to tell, you know, how to handle things that you know and things that you don't know. Like, you don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. So as you're getting into tomorrow and you're not prepared to handle it, you become so anxious. You know, life is presenting so many things around you and you don't seem to know how to handle them. So because of that, anxiety sets in. Because you don't know whether you're doing the right thing or whether you're doing the wrong thing. You don't know how the world is viewing what you're doing, so you become so anxious. Or maybe there's so many expectations about you and you even don't know how to handle them, so you become anxious. Now, when you become so anxious, it makes you stressed. So stress now sets in. So that is a status whereby, you know, you are not just able to go through life, you know, your day-to-day life, you know, in a logical way. You're so worried about the future. There are so many problems you can't be able to solve, so you become so stressed. And when that stress goes on for a long time, it may lead into depression. Depression is now whereby you become so numb, you know, like there's nothing you can be able to handle. You can't even handle yourself. You can't relate well with yourself. You can't relate well with others. So you become so depressed. And depression can even lead you now to a mental disorder, like even schizophrenia, whereby you literally lose it. Or sometimes you just go into, you know, that Down syndrome where you don't want to communicate with anyone. You're just isolated. You're on your own. You don't understand even yourself. So depression now sets in.
What do you think, like, are some of the specific symptoms someone has when it comes to depression? Because a lot nowadays the conversation is depression is really out there, you know. So what are some of the symptoms someone can say, okay, so I have this going on, maybe I don't sleep at night. Tell us about that.
Yeah, in fact, one of them is actually what you're talking about. Like, a depressed person will not sleep. There's something we call insomnia, whereby it's lack of sleep. They're not able to sleep. Or there's even hypersomnia, whereby they find themselves even overdoing it. You know, just sleeping and sleeping. Some of them just go off. They just want to be on their own. They don't want to relate with anyone. Some of them start getting into some bizarre activities. You know, you've known this person all throughout your life and you've known them to act so normally. Now they get to a place whereby there's forgetfulness. They're just acting out things, you know. They're not able to solve any problem. They even don't seem to understand themselves. Like, I may be here, but I even don't know I'm in the studio. You're seated there, you even don't know who you are with. Sometimes your mind just goes off completely. Sometimes you're back to yourself and then you go off again.
Apart from high cost of living, of course, what do you think are other leading causes of these mental illnesses?
Of course, you know, everything may actually rotate around the high cost of living. Because, you know, we have the basic needs. And if you're not able to get your basic needs, or if you're not able to provide for the basic needs, because you see, like, much as we're talking about young people, these young people are coming from families where there's the father, the mother, who are supposed to provide for their basic needs. So when they're not able to provide for those needs, they actually lead them into these mental disorders or these, mental problems, because they're not able to get what they're supposed to. You see, like, if there is no food, like, you'll agree with me right now, the current food production in the country is just on a very low trend. Low rainfalls. Like Kenya, we've been relying so much on getting wheat from Ukraine. You can see what is happening between Ukraine and Russia.
The war.
Yes, there's the international fuel levies that have actually affected us. And once the fuel goes high, the cost of production is also high. So it trickles down to food. And when a person is not well fed, everything else will actually stop. So if you look at what is happening around, everything is revolving around, there is no food. There is no food. So when these young people are not well fed, this is one of their basic needs. They will not see need even to go to school, because education is the other basic need. Because there's no way you are going to keep a child who is not fed in class, or an adolescent who is not well fed in college, and you expect them to stay there, listen to attend the lectures, do the assignments and everything else. So you find that some of the effects will be trying to look for means of getting money. And what has it led most of our young people into? Relationships with people who can be able to provide for these needs. What are the consequences? For the girls, teenage pregnancies. So you see, you may start with the high cost of living, but when you start trickling down, you find that there are so many things that this is actually going to lead to. If it is the young men, what are they doing? To be able to medicate the anxieties and the depression and their stresses, they are getting into drug abuse. So you'll find so many gangs of young people. And where I live, I'm always watchful about what is happening with the young people. I may decide to just go to a room upstairs, switch off all the lights, and I just want to study and see what is happening around with the young people who stay around. And sometimes you'll find a fire, you'll see something lit, and you'll see them passing from one person to another. Of course, what are they doing? They get into drugs. Because now, as parents, there's so much we're expecting from them. Now, they know very well they cannot be able to do that. So what do? They have to get an exit path. So most of them are exiting into drugs, illicit sex. They want to try and lie to themselves that life has to continue.
Is it a coping mechanism?
Yes, it is. That is how they are. They're trying to cope with them. So, with whatever is happening, some of them are becoming so rude. They don't want to obey authority. There are those, poor relationships with the parents. And, a child will not face you and tell you, you're not providing, doing this and this. And they also want to compare themselves with the other peers. One thing with young people, they never easily accept where they are coming from. They don't easily accept their homes. Their socioeconomic, status in their homes. They don't readily accept. They like wearing facades and living lies because they want to belong. They want that social acceptance. So because of that, they tend to live lives which are not real.
Before we get into that bit, I want us to talk a bit about the parents aspect. Do you think there's usually a lot of expectations and pressure from parents for young people to behave in a certain way, and then it leads them to this kind of issues? Let me just take you back a bit. When I was growing up, because there's an age gap between me, you, and the current young people, isn't it? And maybe if you're told to give your story of how your growing up was, it would be different from mine and from the current adolescent. When you were growing up, there were those family norms that we just had to live by, and we did not question authority. So that is how we grew up. So when we go to the stage where we were getting our own children, we also expected them. There's something we call parental interjections, where you expect a child to live a life that you lived when you're growing up. So we also expect them to conform
to our norms and our values, you know, the same way we conform to our parents.
Yeah.
Now, because of that, we are piling a lot of expectations on them. Now, according to them, they are living in another generation.
Right.
You know, the Z generation, they are so informed, they are media raised.
Yes.
And they tend to know so much about, about life more than what we think we know. So they feel that they want to be let alone, but we still feel we need to just capture them and make them into what we want. Some of us even charge them with parental duties. Like if I'm away working and there's this young child, it is you I expect to make sure that they are well fed,
100%.
they have bathed, they are clothed. We even wake them up to make sure that they take them to school.
Sure.
I want them to run my errands. Like you see, if you've grown up in my household, you finished school, I've taken you to a driving school, you know how to drive. According to me, you're now my chauffeur. So I don't even care about you having your own programs. And you know, I don't want this child to tell me, you know, Mom, I had planned to do this. It's about me waking up and planning for you, which cannot work. So you find that for them now to be able to do their own things, they have to liberate themselves. So what will they do? You've heard about many cases of teenagers or adolescents being looked for. They're in the social media, last seen wearing this and this, this and this place. Some of them are just hiding somewhere with their friends. In fact, I can tell you what is happening currently. They even hook up with friends, go rent a room somewhere and stay there, away from parents.
The parental pressure.
So they are running away, yes, from the parental pressure. So they want to go and have a breather. And then, of course, when they are there, they'll discuss how they are going to lie to their parents, you know, whatever they were doing, and, you know, or when you call, they'll tell you, Mom, I'm not doing anything wrong. That statement means they are doing something wrong.
Something wrong.
Yes.
I want us to talk about, see, the thing is, nowadays, you see a lot of depression, people end up committing suicide. But I want to know, back in the day, I'm sure people were going through depression also. How are they handling it?
Now, back in the days, like, especially let me talk about my days. Because, you know, now you can see the age difference. You know, we used to discuss issues, maybe with our parents, with our aunties, with our uncles. You'll even go, like, over the holiday, you'll even go to your grandmother's place and you'll talk to them, because maybe there's a way, you know, you are brought up not questioning our parents or not questioning authority. So maybe you have an issue, there'll always be this auntie or this uncle that you will be close to. So the family ties were very strong, whereby you will visit an older sister, an older brother, and then you will divulge whatever is happening in them. And then maybe they'll have a way of talking to your parents, and then maybe they'll be able to resolve if there are crises or something like that. If you're going through anxiety, you're going through depression, you're stressed, you will actually share with them. Because again, you realize back then, counseling was not there. Counseling is actually a new thing in the market. But we still used to have the indigenous counseling, whereby we had those aunties. You know, even those are the days when your uncles and your aunties will even decide who marries you. Or who you marry. They had a say in that. But is that the case nowadays? It's
completely different. What about social media? Do you think social media is fueling the pressure, especially with young people, to live certain lifestyles?
Yes, and very much. And like I told you, there's this need to conform and to belong. There's this need to be accepted. So because of that, most of them, I said, are wearing facades. They are living lies. Because they want to be accepted. So when they go to the social media and they find that someone is doing a certain thing, they also want to do the same. You realize young people copy a lot. Most of them want to live the lives of other people that is not actually theirs. So most of them, like, you know, when they go to social media and they find that, like some of us are actually on TikTok, and I watch TikTok a lot because of my profession. I just want to know what is happening there and to see, like, if I was given a chance to talk to young people, what kind of things will I actually address? And you find that even as grown-ups, we are now TikToking with our sons. So you find that we are tending to lean on their view of life than our view of life. Because I want to, you know, when I was growing up, my parents wouldn't even know about my boyfriend. But you know, I'm going on TikTok and asking my son, so who are you dating currently? So that means it is okay. A child currently means maybe you're dating somebody else, you're now dating somebody else, so it is okay. So when we are doing that, we are perpetuating even this indiscriminate sex. It means that we are actually allowing also what they are doing. Because go to social media now. You know, when we were growing up, the way we used to dress was very different. But nowadays, it's about nudity, so to speak.
Do you think back in the day, people were feeling more judged if they were to open up to family members, let's say about the boyfriends that you're talking about, or things that are happening in their life? But now the generation is pretty open to everything.
Yes.
So do you think there's just a bit of a difference to that?
Yeah, there is, because you see, like during those days, there's an age at which you're even supposed to date, to have a boyfriend or to have a girlfriend. Yeah, like when you're still in school or even in college or at the university, according to your parents, you're still a child.
Yeah.
First, because you're still in their lives. So according to them, when you are now done with your education and you're ready to delve into the world of work, that is when now you can talk about having a relationship. But nowadays, even a child in school is having a relationship, and they are coming out loudly to talk about it. And I think I don't judge them. Personally, I don't judge them. Because when they come out openly to talk about it, you can easily take advantage of that and start guiding them. You know, like, you know, most of the teenagers get into the adolescent stage, you know, they start going through the changes, the physical changes. They don't know what to do with them. There are so many myths, so many things they are reading about. So when they come clean and maybe even come and tell you, oh, Mom, I have a girlfriend, Mom, I have a boyfriend, you can now sit them down and tell them what is pushing you into this. Because every time I'm near a girl, I feel like that. So you know it's about the physical changes in their bodies. So you are able now to sit them down and now teach them.
But do you think most parents are open to that? Because interestingly, I still think as much as they're learned and open, I don't think it would be easy for them to sit down with their parents to do that. So they would rather talk to friends, right? Yeah. So don't you think maybe sometimes that is why they end up doing what they're doing, really? Because they don't get the support that they're supposed to get from parents. I want us to shift and talk about counseling. And therapy. There's been a lot of conversation about now people going for therapy. But is this still stigmatized, especially in the Kenyan community?
Just come again?
I'm saying, right now there's a lot of conversation on, you know, going for therapy. Going for therapy is big right now, going for counseling. But not a lot of people talk about it, again, because of the community. So do you think there's still stigma when it comes to going for therapy?
Yeah, okay. There may be, because sometimes people don't want to expose their issues. And there are also issues of trust. Like, I am a counselor, you have come to me. How sure are you I'm going to remain confidential with the information that you've given me? So there's this fear of, I may, you know, divulge information about me or what is going on in my life, and this information can be actually used against me. Or people will come to realize that I'm actually undergoing counseling, and they will think I have so many, you know, a myriad of problems, which is not actually the thing. Last evening, we had a training on, you know, technology and counseling, whereby we are trying to embrace the online counseling. Because you see, if I'm going to do online counseling, no one will know I had a session with you. But if you're walking physically into a counseling office, everyone is waiting outside, you know, they want to know, what is this guy should be having a problem. So you find that many people will fear doing that. I work also in a school setting, apart from practicing with my farm. I work in a school, actually I work in a boys' school, Kabete High School, to be precise. And you know, there we deal with boys. So I have my counseling office, and you'll find that many of them will not want to get inside there, because the others are seeing them and they'll be like, so you have a problem. No wonder you went for counseling. So you find that many people they really want, but they don't embrace counseling because of fear of stigmatization. People will think that they have problems. And not what people forget is that you may not even have a problem. You may just need some guidance on how to go about some issue in life, not really because you have a problem. So we really try to demystify the need for people going for therapy. It really helps a lot. Yeah, so people should not actually fear seeking out for counseling interventions, because you see sometimes, okay, even as counselors we have our own issues, so maybe there's a way I had an issue and there's a way I dealt with it. So if you're coming to me, I'm only just sharing with you that maybe if you could do this and this, you could be able to go through your issue. Sometimes you're just stuck. It could be about, you know, choosing between two jobs. Yeah, you have two job opportunities. It's not a problem. You know, there's something we call eustress, positive stress. You know, you can be stressed about something positive, like choosing between two houses. You've been offered two cars at your place of work. You don't know whether to take the Mitsubishi or you want to take the Land Rover. Which one do you want? So you even become stressed about that. So if you are coming to seek for, if you are me, what will you choose and what will inform your choice? It is not actually negative stress. It is not distress. It is eustress. So people need to know that counseling is very important. Therapy is not anything to make them feel stigmatized. If anything, it helps them even to go through life in a better way.
Is there, is there anywhere that offers free counseling or free therapy? Because a lot of the time you need to pay, let's say 3,000 shillings and above, and maybe someone doesn't have that money to pay for that session. Are there any options for like a free therapy or talking to someone without paying?
Let me tell you maybe what people don't know. Most of what us counselors do is charity work. Because there's no way you can come to me and you have a problem and the first thing I'm asking for is the money. I'll first of all deal with your issue. And then I'll tell you, okay, fine, you know, I went through training, I'm running an office, blah, blah, blah. So that is why I charge this amount of money. But if you tell me after the session I don't have the money, I will not take away what I've done. So you'll find that, like, I've told you I'm in the school setting. I do a lot of counseling there to the students, to the staff, the parents, but I don't charge a single cent. I do counseling in church. I give free talks in church. I do a lot of counseling there. The community. I'm this person who will not just pass a young person doing something wrong and I don't stop you. I will befriend you, tell you, Sukuje, we take tea, there's something I wanted us to discuss. I know you're not working. I will not ask you for a single cent. So people should know that sometimes, you know, when you assess somebody and see they're not able to afford for the services, you know, my pleasure is to help somebody stick on that mental, you know, to stay mentally healthy, you know, than the money that I get from you.
All right. We have less than 2 minutes to go, but I just quickly want to ask, you said you're in the school setting. What are some of the issues, like you said it's a boys' school, right? What are some of the issues the boys face when it comes to mental health?
You know, there's peer pressure, of course, where they want to conform to the lives of their friends or their age mates. Their parental issues, most of them come from dysfunctional families, separation and all that, you know, divorce. They are coming from families with very low socioeconomic background. Sometimes they can't even pay fees. So you really have to just talk to them, help them understand themselves, accept their lives. Sometimes we do interventions where we bring the parents, tell them to apply for bursaries, you know. We also, by the way, even literally pay fees for these students. Like, you know, if they're coming to me and they have a problem, they can't even raise the fees, I'll bring on board a few teachers. I'll ask them, let us put this boy in boarding so that at least they get away from the environment at home that is not so friendly. We put them in boarding, let us pay their fees, cater for their pocket money and everything. So we find ourselves doing so much of those things because some of them end up in drugs and all that. So if you don't capture them and bring them close to you, you just lose them.
Finally, what would you tell a young Kenyan who's watching you now? Because we've seen cases of people burning themselves because of the status of the cost of living right now in the country. What would you tell them? How would you advise them?
There's so much about self-harm. Teenagers or adolescents, young people burning themselves. There's that cutting, you know, self-cutting and all that. And what I'll tell them is that life is never just smooth. Let them seek out for these services. Let them speak out their problems so that those of us who are in this profession